Greetings. It is the 1st of June, and so it's a perfect time to take a look at the outer planet alignments coming up this summer. So, some very interesting energies and shifts and dynamics unfolding with the outer planets, specifically as we complete the shift of outer planets from earth and water signs into air and fire signs, which is a long-term process. Huge change in the background energies we are experiencing. And one of the things that will bring is the ability to manifest things more quickly than we have in recent years. And I'm going to explain why today. I'm Marina Orms here with your Astro perspective for Sunday, June 1st. And just in a few weeks here, we have the summer solstice in the Northern Hemisphere. Of course, it's winter for those of you in the Southern Hemisphere, but that's always the interesting thing, isn't it? But so we've got these outer planets that are Pluto, Neptune, Uranus. Also, we can throw in there Saturn, and Jupiter is also changing signs this summer. So recently we had Pluto changing signs. Neptune recently went into Aries. Pluto's now in Aquarius, and in just a few days on June 9th, well, Jupiter's going to go into Cancer on June 9th. So we have another shift happening there. And then in July, Uranus goes into Gemini. So the third of the outermost planets shifting into an air sign. So interestingly, we have had the outer planets, Pluto in Capricorn, Neptune in Pisces, and Uranus in Taurus. We've had these background energies. So the outer planets move really slowly, things unfold slowly with the outer planets. So they represent the sort of the background energy of what's changing slowly over time in our experience. And with those outer planets being in in earth and water signs, we have that watery, earthy feeling of things moving and changing, but changing slowly. So with Earth, when you're talking about change, you're talking about the kind of change that makes mountains or that slowly erodes away to expose canyons, or right? So, and water, right? Water creates change, but slowly over time. It can bring transformation when we think about water in terms of our emotions and our emotional process. But again, thinking of that as a process of things moving through us, we feel it, it moves slowly. So with earth and water, when we set intentions, things manifest, but they take time. And we have that experience of things needing to be tangible as they change. So the same way that you grow a garden, you plant the seeds, well, maybe you dig maybe you dig your garden bed first and create the right soil conditions, and then you plant the seeds, you water the seeds, you take care of the seedlings as they sprout, right? It's a process. It takes time. It's not instantaneous. You don't say, I'm going to plant a seed and suddenly today I'm going to have the flower or the fruit of my dreams or the vegetables of my dreams. So the difference is that and what we're going to feel here is as these outer planets shift into air and fire, we have a very different experience of how things manifest. So with air, you get the realm of ideas and thinking, and the way that messages get conveyed through your nervous system, and how electricity might carry a message or a signal. You get things like how we can communicate instantly with somebody these days on the other side of the planet, right? You can have a phone call. You can have video chat even, right, with somebody on the other side of the planet. Of course, it used to be you had to write down your idea on a piece of paper, fold it up, putting it in an envelope, and it had to go through all the stages, for weeks, if you're even lucky enough that it would get there. Um, that used to be how we communicated. Now, communication is more instantaneous, but also thinking about the realm of ideas and how you can experience that shift in ideas instantaneously. So even when you have to write it and put it in an envelope and wait for the Pony Express or the ship or whatever to get it where it's going, that might take time, right? But the idea itself can can manifest instantly. And so when we're sitting there thinking or staring out the window or posing a question, and all of a sudden we see things, we see something, like it may not be the answer, right? We don't always get the answer instantaneously, but something can shift when we create the right conditions. And the way that new ideas pop into our heads can be instantaneous. So that air energy can be very quick. And certainly it can be very quick when you're talking about a reflex in your body. You touch the hot stove, you pull your hand away before you even realize what happened. You're driving and you see that red light, your foot is on the brake pedal, right? Before your mind really processes what happened. I mean, right? It's just a normal, ordinary thing to have a red light. But the point is that your body is already doing what it needs to do, in part because those signals are happening so fast in your nervous system that those reflexes can just do what they need to do. There's not a there's not a long experience of a process that needs to happen before you put your foot on that brake or before you pull your hand away from that hot stove. So same idea here, and this is air energy talking about the nervous system. And of course, we do have modern technology and we have the internet and we have modern communications and the ability to send a message and have it received and read almost immediately, potentially. So air energy is can be fast, right? And then now think about fire, and fire can transform quickly, obviously. It burns things up, right? And it can transform things before we even have a chance to process what happened. So again, air and fire just can bring about much quicker changes than earth and water. One's not better than another. We need them all. We need we need the earth energy because that helps us see things and feel how things are really changing and unfolding in a process that's very tangible, like when you're cooking rice and you put the dried rice in the pot, you put the water in the pot, you wait for it to boil, right? And then you have to wait for it to cook, and at the end you have rice, cooked rice ready to eat. So that is the experience of things changing, where we have time to process what is happening. We understand, we can see it change, we can adjust along the way as it changes. So all of this is by way of helping us to wrap our minds around what is happening as the outer planets go from earth and water signs into air and fire signs. So Pluto was the first one. In 2023 and 2024, Pluto went in and out of Aquarius. So shifting from earth sign Capricorn into air sign Aquarius, where we are doing the Plutonian work of connecting with a deeper truth, needing to be honest with ourselves, doing some of this deeper work of transformation. But it's happening now in an air sign, in air sign Aquarius, which deals with rapid change, can be earthquakes, lightning bolts. So because the sign of Aquarius is associated with modern ruler Uranus, we have that energy of shakeup, of sudden change, of things shifting, which can be traumatic when something like an earthquake or a lightning bolt of change happens suddenly, and we don't have time to process it the way we do when we're watching a pot of rice cook or whatever is changing in our lives. And we have the garden growing, we can see it change over time. With that Aquarian energy, we're talking about things that shift very quickly, very suddenly. So that's Pluto was the first one. And now in 2025, Neptune went from Pisces, where think about the great ocean of being. We're talking about the interconnectedness of all, but also sort of the experience of getting confused or lost in the fog, even as we experience the dissolving of the way that salt is dissolved in the ocean, we can experience structures in our lives also dissolving, but also they can be created in terms of how we connect with a bigger picture. We can connect with that guidance of the bigger picture with the Pisces energy. So that is a water sign. Pisces is a water sign. So it goes from went on March 30th from Pisces into fire sign Aries. So Aries, fire sign. Now also we're talking about not, it can be sudden, but bold, courageous action, risk taking, moving forward, not hesitating, not stopping to think, not processing first, just doing. And that is the energy of Aries. So you have this fire sign Aries that says, just act on what is right in front of you. Don't think about it. Don't think too hard, right? And then at the same time, you have Pluto now in Aquarius going, yeah, things can change, things can develop in unexpected ways. And how we think about the deeper truth of what is underlying our experience can make a difference in how we can access higher thinking. Pluto in Aquarius also has to do with technology, um, the internet, and the AI stuff, right? And the way that ideas are shifting and changing, but getting with that Plutonian connection to what is power, who has the power, who's, where is, and really with, I mean, I'm diverging on a sidetrack here, but if Pluto is in Aquarius, we could be asking the question of who has the power. Is it the artificial intelligence? Is it the technology CEOs and billionaires who have, the power of this technology? Or is power Pluto in the hands of the people Aquarius? So that's kind of the essence of what we are grappling with and working through at this time in history. Okay, so that was an aside. But coming back to Neptune in Aries. So now we have Pluto in air sign, Neptune now in a fire sign, and on July 7th, Uranus going from earth sign Taurus into air sign Gemini. So again, Uranus is the planet of shakeup, of change, of earthquakes and lightning bolts. So Aquarius is the sign of those things, and Uranus is the planet of those things. Going into Gemini, earth sign, again, Gemini, think communication, think nervous system, think processing and ideas and the rapidity of how ideas can shift and change when you're talking about the planet, the outer planet of change and sudden change in the air sign of Gemini, thinking and new ideas and how information and messages are shared, and that could be very quick. So again, this is all to explain how we can think about these shifts of the outer planets from water and earth. Again, slow moving, a process oriented, tangible. You can see it. You get a chance to work through the changes as they occur, to come, have time to adjust, etc. And now, so the downside of that is that things happen slowly. And when you set an intention or you go about a project or a process that you want to bring some sort of change into your life, healing into your life, something you want to manifest, with the earth energy and the water energy, it's going to make sense. It's going to move slowly, but it's also going to, right, it's going to move slowly, but it's going to make sense, and you're going to have time to adjust as you go, to realize, oh, now things are this way, they were that way, and now, and to see that process of change as it is happening, like a garden or cooking a pot of rice. Okay. now now what's happening is we've got the two outermost planets, and also Saturn, which, if you uh, count the four most out most outer planets, Saturn also in Aries, went from Pisces into Aries. Saturn is not as far out as Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, but it is the next one in from those three, so also outer planet energy. And so now we've got the third outermost planet, Uranus, in July, going into Gemini. Also in July, Saturn and Neptune joining up. Well, not exact yet, but very, very, very close. So Saturn gets within a few, I think 12 minutes of exact, which is there are 60 minutes in a degree, so a small fraction of a degree apart. So very, very close, but not exactly together in the exact same degree and minute. So that's happening. And then well, first Neptune and then Saturn go retrograde. So they are going to be heading back into Pisces. But before they do, in July, we get this taste of what it is like to have all three, and if you count Saturn, four outer planets in um, air, fire, air, fire, right? From where they have been in earth, water. So the point is that there is this shift in the vibe. There is a shift in how things change, how they change, right? So instead of having to get all your grains of rice lined up and your water measured and your stove time to boil the water, gonna you're gonna experience change much more like a sudden epiphany, a sudden change where you didn't think something was possible, all of a sudden it's happening, or you weren't expecting something and now it's happening, for good or for bad, right? It's neutral. It's not good or bad, but it's a change in how things shift, how they manifest, how they evolve. So it's going to be more like, yeah, we're thinking. We're sitting here staring out the window, and then boom, it's different. See, much different from that experience where we need to have everything lined up and go through the process. so, so this is significant. And not only is this happening, and it's the outer planets change signs infrequently. So I haven't looked back to see when the last time this particular thing might have happened is. But I can say it's very infrequent because Pluto has a 200 and what is it, 44-year, almost 250-year cycle. I think 248, I want to say, but I could be wrong. Anyway, in that range. Um, so it spends 20 years on average in a sign. So it's very rare for Pluto to even change signs, let alone for all three outer planets to change signs within, this started in 2023, it will complete in 2026. So within a short few year time period, all three of the outer planets changing signs. And it happens to be that they all went from earth or water into air or fire. So so this is significant, and it can be destabilizing because of how we are used to things moving and changing. And so when we are not prepared for or not expecting things to change suddenly, we're kind of waiting for that pot of rice to boil. And we're not noticing that, the shed outside is actually burning down at the moment, right? So so things like that. And how that might show up. Well, that's the energy that we're in. So that could show up in, of course, many, many different ways. But we want to think about, and when we're thinking about self care and being our best selves and doing our creative work and making a positive difference in the world, we want to be aware of these changes. And so we want to recognize that, hey, when you put your thought into something, that could manifest fairly quickly, both positive and negative thoughts. So if you're having negative thoughts, you could be unconsciously contributing to something. Yeah, it's not about blame, right? It's just about awareness. So if you're, the point is that you can choose on purpose to reorient any negative thoughts that you have into positive ones, and it will be a much quicker experience of that shift. So play with that in your life and see how that feels to what is showing up in your life when you go into unconscious thinking or habits or patterns versus what do you notice is showing up in your life when you consciously go, okay, let me reframe that, let me think about that in a different way. What is the positive spin on this? What is the positive angle? Why could this be a good thing for me? So just reframing, reorienting, and just see how that feels and what you notice when you do that. Because I think we're all going to be learning through this process and discovering what works and what how we might need to approach things in a little bit of a different way than we have been. Again, nothing is inherently good or bad. It's neutral. It's just how we work with it. So also, in addition to this rare shift of the outer planets, and we're going to throw Saturn in there also, from earth and water into air and fire, we also have a sextile alignment that is, I shared in a previous video about how the waxing sextile between Neptune and Pluto, and another waxing sextile between Uranus and Neptune, which means a waxing trine between Uranus and Pluto, which just means that the planets are lining up in a way that is very future oriented, that is very creative, that is very open to possibility, to shaping what is to come. So, very creative energy, extraordinarily creative energy that we have, and wind in our sails to support, again, our positive or negative choices, however, we are choosing to align with the things we want and approach the world and our relationship to it. So play with how those positive thoughts might also be helping to move things in a positive direction in your life. And then so the that waxing sextile formation that involves three planets, so two sextiles and a trine with the outer planets, is also taking place over years. So at different points last year and this year, we will kind of reach a peak of when the planetary alignments are closest. And then they will kind of move apart from the exact, from closer to exact. They will be the most close to exact in 2026 in July, I believe, but it comes very close this summer, 2025, also in July. So yeah, and it's not just in the summer. There will be some different points where this alignment is more strong, more exact. So it's happening this summer. So not only this summer do we have, to recap, Uranus going into Gemini on July 9th. We have Jupiter going into Cancer. So Cancer is a water sign. So that's and Jupiter is not, it's the fifth outermost planet. So it's not in those outermost four, but it is also going to bring a vibe change. So Jupiter going into Cancer is is a whole nother topic, but we will have some water energy here. And anyway, coming back to the sextile alignment, sextile trine alignment, coming up this summer, that is happening. So Uranus going into Gemini on July 7th, Neptune and Saturn coming as close as they will this year, which is a tiny fraction of a degree from one another in July, before they go retrograde and ultimately back into water sign Pisces. And then the third thing is this sextile trine alignment. I'm not sure where I was in my three things, but Uranus going into Gemini, Saturn and Neptune coming close, and then also Pluto, Neptune and Saturn, which are together, and then Uranus in Gemini, in these four planets involved in this creative, forward-looking, proactive manifestation support, if we are choosing to work with it, to be our best selves, to grow, to learn, to step into what we're capable of, to trust ourselves, to all the things that I talk about on this YouTube channel in my daily Astro Vibe videos, where we look at the vibe of each day. That is what we are doing. We are working with these bigger picture energies and how each day reflects a little moment in this bigger picture cycle and evolution. So that is my talk for today. Some important and interesting alignments, and specifically really very creative, very filled with possibility, filled with potential, filled with support for moving things in new directions. Aries is also about initiating and starting new things and beginnings. So, a lot of support for starting new things, moving things in new directions, choosing in your life, things that are moving in a new direction for you, maybe some new places of awareness for yourself, or how you see yourself, your role, What is changing for you? What are you starting? What are you stepping into? And we are working with these energies to make our creative and positive and choice-filled possibilities, because there is also, of course, support for whatever we are putting energy and focus into. So if we are putting our energy and focus into worry, into fear, into feeling overwhelmed, that's what is going to be manifesting, right? So that is what will have support to grow. So in other words, what are you planting? Because that is what is going to happen. What is going to come to fruition in some way. So choosing those new directions and affirming your own healing path, affirming your own creative contribution and whatever that looks like for you in your life, how you impact other people, how you do art, how you work on things you're creating. Whatever that is for you, that is something to think about in terms of how you are uh, putting in the positive thinking or new directions for the possibilities, that because they could very well be manifesting more quickly and without needing to see all the steps along the way. So that's what I've got for you today. Thank you. And we will continue following these energies as we move throughout this summer for summer for me in the northern hemisphere, and I know for a lot of you. So this summertime or winter, if it's winter for you, and thanks for being here. Follow me, subscribe to this channel for more of how to work with these energies on a daily basis. We talk about astrology for unshakable self-care. So, how to take these big picture energies and work with them from day to day. I'm also working on some classes and other little learning opportunities through my membership program. Some of it's free, some of it will be available to paid subscribers. So check that out. It's in the description for this video. Just hit join and you can learn more about it and fill out a survey and let me know what you want, what you're looking for. And thanks so much for being here. I'm Marina Orms. Astrologyheals.com is my website. I do have availability for readings. So if you want some support with all these planetary energies and how to be your best self in the world and what this looks like for you and your process, book a reading. So, all right, see you next time with more astrology for unshakable self-care. Bye for now.